Yeah.
Maybe.
Working for the weekend, then I want to see a show. I flip on the book of face. Yeah, I know where to go.
I'll tell you where to go.
One of those days.
Yes.
Into the music
It has.
scene. Showing lots of love for the community. With great
Show.
Show.
Hi guys. The whole crew's right here.
Oh, the cone of shame is on somebody.
Man, they really like tore him up.
Yeah.
And then I had to go to my vet and get it fixed because
Was that the one that was injured a couple of weeks ago? Or?
No, that's my foster.
Oh, the other dog's got him, huh? Mayhem is happening at the Ceris household.
Did you hear that?
I did. A lot of mayhem going on. We got a lot of people checking in. Look at this already.
Oh, wow.
There's Glenn. Hi, Glenn. Kareem.
Evening, everybody.
The champ.
I just got out of the shower.
I can tell. Skip.
Yeah.
Glad you put clothes on. All right.
I literally just put a sweatshirt on. I mean, it's
all
not
right. What's up, Gina McCann? How are you?
Hey, Gina.
Kevin
Hi,
in the
Kevin.
house. What's up, people? Toy. Look at all our friends join us today. Rob Paisley in the house. Hi, Rob. On the
Hi,
YouTube
Melody.
channel. Douglas from the garage. How are you? Or wherever you're at right now. Ed Sawicki's here.
Hi.
We love Ed. We do. Ed Sawicki, wiki.
Woof, woof.
Oh, Alex Hall, my brother from another mother.
Hi,
What's
Jim.
going on?
We're just
Cheers.
going live.
Hi, Jim. Hi on the live.
Hi on the live.
Jim on the live. Jim in the background on the live. He's like the ghost voice from somewhere in the house.
Yeah.
Roger Bates, how are you? Wow, what happened to Bob Klein? There he goes. There's Bob Klein. Hi, Bob.
Hi, Bob.
Hey, have you seen that picture of Bob? Did I show it to you?
The one I saw something on the interwebs.
This one here from
Oh, no.
Sloppy Joe's. He had the support local attire on. That
Nice.
is cool. Isn't that nice of him?
That is nice.
He was sporting the All Around Town's apparel in Key West. That's cool. Hey, how you doing today? You all right?
Yeah.
You sure?
Yeah.
Just okay?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's fake as hell. All right. Woof, woof, Jim McCarthy. How are you, Tom? Ready for a street fight? We ready to have a street fight today? You wanna? Yana?
Are we fighting? Who are we
I don't
fighting?
think we're not fighting. We're talking about musicians who like to fight with their audience and melt down on stage. We're going to do that. Anybody ever experienced that? If you have, it's time for your comments. We want to hear from you if you've had an experience. I've experienced it. I've watched stage meltdowns happen on both the national level and the local level.
Yeah.
Yeah. It happens more on the national level sometimes because they become a little bit diva-ish at times and they get mad at their audience.
Well,
Yeah. But, you know, they're getting paid big
I
bucks.
don't really have that much experience with the national level.
Don't you?
Not really.
Heidi Ho, Stacy Tucker. I hope Tucker Mountain is not burning down there. I saw your video from last night. That's a little scary. The wildfires going on. Bill is in the house. How are you? Uh-oh.
Hi,
Uh-oh.
Stacy
The professor. The professor is here. All right.
Stacey, are you the one that tagged me in the Pause for Miles?
I don't know.
Oh, no.
Gary's in the house. Josh Morgan has joined the party. Look at all these people coming in to see something happening here. Casey is in Florida. Thank you, Casey. Chris Lee says, what's up? Just like Chris Reese does. The mess running the Chris family. Here's Kareem. He says, I don't know if it counts, but I got testy with someone on open mic because I didn't want drums and they tried to drum while I played anyway. Well, interesting. At an open mic night. Yeah, I can see that happening. I get
different Stacy then.
I get testy when I'm trying to do announcements on stage for a fundraiser or a charity event or something, and somebody's back there beating on the drums. I do, or playing guitar licks, just to noodle and all that stuff. That gets a little annoying when they're just ignoring what you're doing on stage. I'd never do that to them, but that's just a whole nother story. So, good evening, Julie Taylor, and Stacy says, "Me too." Yes. What is?
The light is blinding me.
Yours is?
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's because you have wet hair. That's why it's absorbing all that light imagery. You believe that? What's up, Chris Thompson? Chris Reese says sup. See, I knew he'd be here.
Chris Reese.
Chris Reese in the house. And Stacy says that happens at open mics because sometimes the players at open mics, they get up there and they think they got to get their 2 songs, 3 songs in and kill it. And they don't always have to. It depends. Blinded by the light. There we go. So let's talk about this, Ceris. This is a good topic. And we did have a viewer write this in. So we grabbed it. We thought it was a good one. And we're going to
Hi, Tom from England. So excited to watch you play on my stage Saturday.
You know what? I don't believe in the history of the show we've ever had anybody come on from London, England. So thank you, Tom. Really? Yeah, we've had them from all over the world, but London is not the place I've seen pop up. So thank you, Tom.
Did I ever tell you that story of the guys from London, England, who were following my page because of Ed Sawicki's pictures?
Yes, you mentioned it, but I think that's so cool.
Isn't it?
I mean, the internet is, sometimes it's our worst enemy, but it's also sometimes really good. And it does great things. It
depends on how you choose to use it.
Well, thank you. I choose to use it as my worst enemy most days. I know I'm being Debbie Downer always, but I get so sick of getting kicked off. I got kicked off Thursday again because of our theme song. I mean, come on, people.
Really?
Sweet Sister Mercy wrote it. It was recorded in the studio. It's not published. And they're saying Warner Music owns the rights to it. I mean, come on, people.
No.
Come on. What's up, Jamie Minnick?
Hi, Jamie Minnick.
All right. Well, Ceris, let's talk about this. When musicians can't keep it together on stage, and I've seen examples of this with, and our viewer that wrote in said musicians getting heckled. They don't like that. And I've heard people say, play something fast, because this guy's got you crying in your beer and things like that. Unfriendly to their audience is a big one. I've done shows with, and I'll have to say it, Aaron Lewis is sometimes one of the most, from Stained and from Aaron Lewis, obviously the country artist now, is one of the most rude people to his audience sometimes I've ever seen.
Really?
Yeah, he is. And he gets really crappy. Now, I understand there are songs that he's serious about, he plays, and there's always that loud woo girl or guy in the audience who's, had a few too many in the parking lot. That happens, but he's walked off stage before at many a concert, kicked the mic over, kicked his table over with his bourbon on it and all that, put on a big show and walked off. And they have to beg him to come back on and all that stuff. And I think that's a bit over.
I think that's ridiculous. I saw one of my favorite bands is City in Color. Dallas Green. He used to play for a couple of punk bands, but he started City in Color. And he was at, I think it was a Bunbury Festival one year. And he's Canadian, and he completely just badmouthed Americans while playing in America. And he was so rude. And I was like, well, that's not really nice. I mean, you'll take their money, but you'll complain about them. So I thought that was rude.
It is. I have a list later in the show, a list of the singers, the top ranked singers who've had meltdowns on stage. It's kind of fun to see some of them.
Oh,
yes, that'll be fun to talk about. But those are nationals. Let's talk about locals for a minute. And what have you seen on a local level that would constitute defining it as a meltdown on stage? We have to mention names, obviously, but what have you seen happen?
I've seen people be very rude to guests that play at open mics and stuff like that. I've seen there was one time when a guest was a real freaking ass and was touching one of the musicians' equipment, and the musician could have lost their shit like right away, but they didn't until they did it the second time, and they rightfully lost their shit, and that person got kicked out, obviously. But I just don't think there's a lot of people that just, I get it, like music is emotional, but if you're at a gig, you should probably keep your, like, that's the anger emotions off the stage, because it's just unprofessional.
Right. And in this day and age, it didn't, I mean, you used to hear about, oh, you know, somebody from the Rolling Stones melted down on stage or this or that. Nowadays, it's viral in 3 seconds. I mean, you know, it's on the internet. Somebody's got a camera out and they've got you captured. And there's really some stupid stuff that happens out there on stage. And I mean, I get that musicians that play, you know, even in local venues get tired, and they get tired of the same old cliche things from the audience, you know, and they get tired of the same old request. But if it wears you out that much that you melt down on stage and start yelling at your audience who's there coming to pay, whether it is the brews in the room or pay a cover charge, you're really defeating your own purpose, I think. And you got to put the attitude in check and sometimes get over yourself a little bit. You know, I have hecklers even at trivia sometimes, and you have to deal with them. I mean, you deal with people, and, you know, the person that runs up and shoves their cell phone in my face saying, see, this is the answer, you know, you're wrong and all that. I'm just like, would I go to your work and do that and say, oh, your Big Mac was wrong today that I ordered? You know, I mean, nobody's, you know, I mean, come on.
I had a woman that I just actually blocked from the page because she was heckling a certain band, like just making unnecessarily rude comments about a band because she liked one of their former band members. And I was like, I mean, you're going so far to heckling this band on the interwebs, you know, I don't know. I thought that was fucking dumb as shit.
Oh, absolutely. And you know, do you see tensions happen on stage? I mean, oftentimes there are tensions even between band members.
You can see it.
That spill over. And I've seen people get a few brews in them and shots, and they get a little angry with each other on stage.
I'm going to say this. I can tell you right now that somebody sees like, we see everything that's happening on stage. You cannot hide anything because there is somebody looking and somebody saw it. And your behavior on stage directly affects the venue. So keep your shit together. You're getting paid, you know, be an adult.
And I'm looking out here for any comments, guys. Please make comments if you've seen this happen. We want to hear from you and give us your experience about musicians melting down on stage, because that's interesting.
I don't blame you, Chris.
Chris, yeah, and
I don't blame you for that.
Yeah, I mean that's crossing the line, literally. Mm-hmm. But it happens. But there's so many variables in what it takes for a musician to have a meltdown. Maybe they're having a rough time in their life. I mean, I've been there from the point of you feel bad for the day, you don't feel good, there's been a lot of emotion in your day, and you're up there on stage and you don't really feel it. But I think you have to go on, don't you, Karis? I mean, you have to go on. You're being paid to do a job. You got to do that job, at least for the time being, or turn it over to your bandmates and walk off the stage if you have to, You
got to know when it's time to just say, I need a break. I was just talking about this today, actually, with Jim, because I mean, it goes without saying in every part of your life. Sometimes I get so frustrated and I'm so freaking stubborn that I don't walk away when I should walk away. And you just got to know when to walk away.
Got to know when to hold them and know when to fold them. You do. Thank you, Chris. Easy to see musicians lose it and cry due to the song they're performing. Well, is that because of emotion, or is that because the audience isn't giving them the response they want? I'd like to dig into that one a little deeper.
Thinking he's thinking due to the song, like the emotion. I'm thinking the emotion. Right. I'm assuming that's what Chris is thinking. saying,
I can't believe in all the times you've been around, Chris, you've never seen somebody throw a temper tantrum on stage because, oh my gosh, it happens a lot more than people think.
oh yeah,
It really does. And on the local level, I'm just going to say it, on the local level, it seems to happen even more because I think they've got less to lose if they have a little temper tantrum or a meltdown on stage than like the national acts may have, even though they're ego maniacs a lot of times at a national level. They still know where their bread's buttered, and it's in those concert tickets of people that come to see them and how viral they can go in a second.
I don't know. I mean, a lot of the people I see have a meltdown on stage on the local level say that this is their full-time gig. So they've got, bread to butter too. I would probably learn how to keep my shit together.
Yeah, I would agree. Hi, Mario. Thank you for being here. And your regulars probably see it. The random crowd is oblivious, Rick says. Well, that's, I
don't know if it is oblivious. I just don't think that they talk. That we don't know because they're not talking to us because they're not, you know what I mean? But I mean, I've had people reach out to me that are not necessarily regulars that have pointed things out, and it sucks.
So who have you seen melt down? Bob Klein says the more the band has to lose, the less it happens. Yeah. And they also have people that depend on them for income who will put them in check sometimes much more than the guy who's making, unfortunately, $100 a night on stage. And that's not to discount anybody, obviously, that's, playing local. I love local music, but I will tell you that there are some local folks who probably should put their attitude in check. You are not on world tour when you're up there on the band stage. You need to interact with your people. You need to treat them right that come in, and don't walk off the stage and walk outside and never say hi to a soul and act like you're above them, because it just doesn't work.
Right.
It's a bad thing. What's Anita and the Daves have to say? Poor behavior on stage and off separates the pros performers from the posers. Thank you for that. It's a good comment. Stacy says she's not seen an actual tantrum, but seen a mood change on stage, and the music changes once the band is having an issue. Hell yeah, it does.
Well, I think more people notice than we think, and I think that's kind of showing right now. Like you've mentioned it, Rick's mentioned it, Gina's mentioned it. We see it. Like
can we talk about mood change though? And I think she segued into what I wanted to hit on here is, what do you think about intoxication or being too high to play? You see it, I see it. I know you've seen it. I've seen it. It is sometimes sad because a band starts out really good, or the performer starts out really good, and whether it's the people buying them shots or whatever it is, no self-control later, it gets stupid by the end of the night where they don't even know their name. I mean, when they're playing, they don't even know who they are up there. And I mean, once in a while, I'll give somebody a free pass. But if that starts happening every time I see them, probably not going back, just the way I feel about it. What are you reading?
Rick's, we go to venues because we love the music and we love the people. Humble yourselves and be glad that we're coming to see you. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. I mean, it's how music is passion 100%. But it's also how you're getting paid. And you have to kind of remember that, and just like any job, I mean, if you don't do your job the way that, sometimes I guess, some people might not, book you again.
Chris says he's seen that too. Yeah. That's a real problem with me, because I think as a performer, I understand. Okay, people go out on the break and smoke. People drink. I get it. I played in a band for years, many years ago, and I can tell you I was a damn alcoholic then. I will admit it. I mean, when you can polish off a fifth of Jack Daniels or Jim Beam a night, you're drinking way too much.
Chris Casey just had the comment of the night right there.
What do we got? You can be passionate and professional at the same time. Very good, Chris. Thank you for that. That's an awesome comment.
Yeah.
It really is. And like I'm saying, you can drink yourself into stupidity and arrogance, and then beyond that, just plain can't play anymore.
Yeah.
And I can tell you, musicians that we both know, that you can tell how much they've imbibed for the night, so to speak, and by the end of the evening, and whether or not they're on their game or not. And it becomes a free for all. And I know you would, especially Karis, in your place, that can be very difficult, like on the jam night, if somebody's been there partying all night and they're late on the list, and then they get up and they don't do probably the best performance ever.
Well, we've really, when we've noticed that somebody's intoxicated, we won't let them up. And then of course they badmouth us and say, we pick and choose who we want on, or we do this, or all, like say we're snobs or whatever. I'm like, no, you are just too drunk, and we're not going to let anybody that's too drunk get on stage. We're just not. I don't care if it's an open jam or not. You're not getting on my stage and risking my, the house band's equipment, and you're not doing it.
So how do you handle that as an owner? If you have a band that's up there and you notice they're getting a little too deep into the alcohol, do you go up and say something to them and say, you need to slow down here and get your shit together? Or what do you do?
Yes and no. Yes. Sometimes I wait till after the show. I'm not going to lie. I got a bit of a temper. So, sometimes I need to step away.
I get you don't want to make a scene. I mean, that's the obvious thing.
Right. And unfortunately, when you're drunk, everything's a little more amplified, and my temper is just not a good mix sometimes. So I just wait. I play it out.
Thank you, Alex. Yeah, you got to overlook people. But when it's the person you've hired to play, I don't overlook that. I think that, you have to overlook the audience. The band has to overlook the audience sometimes. There's a-holes in every crowd, and there's always that guy yelling free bird or whatever, for lack of a better explanation, that just annoys the hell out of you as a musician. But on that matter, you got to know when to put it in check and when not to jump on people, I think. What are you reading? You're shaking your head. I can tell when you're reading something. Did I miss something?
No.
Okay. You can feel the tension in the room. Melody, you're right. I agree. Yeah. You can feel the tension. When the band's got tension, it plays out in the room, whether they want to believe it does or not. I agree 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah. And do y'all think as music consumers out there, you can read a band pretty quickly? I think you can, whether the band's having fun or not. I went, and I mentioned on yesterday's show, I went to the Eagles Project Friday night.
I heard that was a really good show.
Karis, those guys literally were having a blast on stage. Yeah. You could tell when they looked over at each other, and the smiles and the little jokes in between songs and the things they were having, they had a genuinely great night. Yeah. And it was fun. You can tell, but that's the difference, though. They are professionals. I mean, I've seen them. I've seen some of them. Maybe drink a bit too much on certain times. But that brings me to another subject. Is they were having fun. I booked this band that I book every year, and this is the first year that I've regretted it, because I've just this is their full-time job, and it is become very apparent that it's their job, and they have no more joy for it. And it's just a job. And he's like, these are my dates that are available. Which dates can you do? And I just felt like, there is that fine line. And it will probably be the last year that I book them, because it's even this past year, you could tell that it's not really the same band that really loves what they do, but they have no problem drinking profusely almost to make it through a show. You know what I mean? And to me, that's another thing, is when you can tell not only are they just drinking too much, but they're doing it because they're not even enjoying what they're doing anymore. Yeah. And Chris says he'll admit being on stage and playing a show where they were all fighting off stage. So I'm sure he came across in our performance. Yeah. Well, and yeah, the one that takes it to the next level and makes a big scene on stage is totally unprofessional. You can have your backstage. I've seen bands fight great example, Naughty by Nature, the 90s band. They couldn't even ride in the same car with each other, and they had to have their own dressing room so they didn't cross paths. And these guys walked out on the stage and absolutely slayed it, though, like they were best friends for life and playing, and because they know their audience and they know what their audience wants. simple performers, professionals. They hated each other, literally hated each other backstage, but it never showed once on stage. So hats off to them for that. I mean, that's people that can put it aside. But it seems on the local level, sometimes people can't put it aside. And how many memes have you seen, Karis, of that are funny about the look of the other musician coming to see another musician's show, and they're standing in the back of the room like this, like judging that person on stage. And it's so true.
Yeah,
it is. It's so true. That's kind of why I fell in love with the Bell, because that really doesn't happen there. They all support each other a whole lot. There's very few that walk in that have an ego ever. So that's all I got to say about that.
They do. They just don't come back.
That's true. Billy said everyone screws up once in a while. They do. And we know that. Thank you, Melody. And Jamie, it's very uncomfortable when a band member throws a tantrum. Yeah. And I've seen guitar players slam their guitars down and walk off and those kind of things.
Yeah.
And that probably comes to be a point where you end up talking as a band later and deciding if that person really needs to stay with you or not and remain in the band, because it's just not working out. What else we got here? Any comments you're looking at, Kiris?
Brian Schutz,
Brian Schutz, where is he? I see it. Let me go down to that one. I'll get to the other ones in a moment. What are you playing? Opera music?
No, I put classical music on for the dogs because it calms them.
Mine listen to yacht rock. That's what they get. Yes, they get yacht rock. It's it's soothing for them. We had a person grab a band member's penis. Wow. And aggressively accost spouses. Yeah, I get it. And that crosses the line. But
I know where you heard that, Aaron Thomas.
Where is it? What's Aaron Thomas got? Help the club sell alcohol. I will admit I've been guilty of overdoing it. I get caught up in the fun in the moment, getting sloppy. Learned over 30 years. Yeah. So it happens.
You're not rambling, Aaron. I like when you talk.
Oh, that's good. Thank you, Aaron.
Smart things to say.
What else we got? Anything good as we roll through these comments here? As we're talking today, if you're just joining us, we're talking about musician meltdowns on stage. And have you ever seen one? If you have, give us an example. Yes. Stacy. Their bass player got so shit-faced. He was sitting on the floor playing. Yeah. I've seen it too. I've seen a big band, well, not too big, but I think they were a nationally touring band that was playing one night, and the lead singer got pissed and went over and sat on a speaker and wouldn't talk. He just sat there, and the band's like looking at him like, are we going to play anymore or whatever? And he's all pissy and just sitting there. And then finally he came on the mic and he said, well, do you guys want to hear me sing some more? And all the band members shook their head no and walked off the stage. So,
oh my gosh,
that was when there was a breakup in that national act for a while. I got to see that and witness it. That was pretty fun. Wow. Thank you, Aaron Thomas. I got that part. Toy Hobbs. So happy to be in a band that there's no egos. My band members are friends, and his fiance's in it. There you go. They actually get along. That's good. Do you think oftentimes some of the band tensions are brought on by the ancillary band people? I've seen that happen.
What do you mean?
Well, let's just use an example of, let's just say there's tension between band members because their wives and girlfriends don't get along. Or, that breaks. I mean, Yoko broke up the Beatles, damn it.
I've seen that. I've heard about that too.
Melody and I have a connected brain. She said Yoko. Yes. And, there's a lot of truth to what goes on in the movie Coyote Ugly. Keep your boyfriends out of the bar and your girlfriends away from the band while they're playing.
Yeah.
I mean, there really is. I mean, it's so true. And he says his old lead guy literally told a staff member to screw off. Yeah.
Yeah.
I know of a local artist who melted down on stage and was telling everybody that the bartender sucked and this sucked and the owner here sucks and blah, blah, blah on stage on the microphone. I would have flipped the breaker on his ass and said, you're out.
You're out, dude.
Yeah, I don't know. It's pretty funny. Billy said he's seen that. Yeah, a little bit of tension sometimes over that, but there's a lot of reasons. I mean, band members can only take so much when the audience is infringing on their space. Band members can only do so much if they're drunk or intoxicated or whatever. But being unfriendly to your audience just because you're up there and you think you're too cool for school is not a good look.
Not at all. Not
a good look in the least little bit. Karis, any other experiences here? I'm reading some of the comments.
Not really. Like nothing. No, not really. I don't think. I mean, we've covered it. I've had bands that just literally sit on the stage during their break, not interact with anybody. That pisses me off. Just I don't know. I don't know.
Jason, save the drama for your mama. Thank you. I agree. And thank you, Stacy. Sherry, that's a good comment as well. I've actually done a couple shows with Eddie Money as well. And I know a lot of people love him and they all love and talk about him, but I will tell you, he was the biggest jerk backstage. I'll say jerk instead of what I wanted to say. But he treated the people backstage horribly. He was the kind of guy that wanted just green M&Ms and all that. And he wasn't a big deal. I mean, he was playing a just local fair. A local fair. Yeah. And, I had to have Perrier water and this and that. How about water out of the tap, Eddie? How about that?
That's funny.
I mean, yeah, he had this big list of demands and, some other people have $300 bottles of liquor on their rider and those kind of things. Even as a local band and things, it's hilarious. Not going to happen. Not going to happen. What else we got? Sherry said his band was nice. Yeah. And that's the bad part. I mean, and one example, like Jack Russell's Great White. I love Jack Russell's voice. I love the band Great White, but we literally carried him onto the stage one day. Now he made a great performance, but he was so messed up that he had to be brought out onto the stage. And he did a 4-hour sound check because he was so high in the 98-degree outdoor weather with the sound crew pissed off and his band pissed off. And everybody in the venue pissed off. The opening acts pissed off. Everything. If Steve Krakus was here, he could tell you all about it because he was one of those opening bands. But yeah, just insane stuff that goes on Dalton. Sometimes.
Bob Klein, Dalton.
Just be nice, Dalton. I thought you'd be bigger, Bob.
All right. I thought you'd be bigger.
And Glenn said Eddie got a lot better before he died backstage. He was very nice. Well, thank you for that, Glenn. I'm glad that changed over the years because when he played the Huber Heights JC Summerfest, he was an asshole. All right. I got to say it. And he ruined my image of him.
Aaron, what you said was spot on. That didn't come across anyway. You're 100% right. There was a wonderful woman that has said that to those exact words to me. You probably know her very well. It is when you work in a club, that's exactly what it is. You're supposed to partner up and you're supposed to help sell drinks.
I agree.
Entertain the staff, keep them moving, keep them dancing, and help us sell drinks. That's how we're paying.
The band truly is an extension of the bar.
It is.
I mean, they are. I mean, and you work hand in hand. It works very well.
It's the bands that don't get that and just look out for themselves. Those are the ones that no.
Yeah, it's a shame when some of them show up so drunk backstage they can't even get out there, and then the announcement comes on, due to illness, so and so will not be performing today. Yeah, due to illness called alcoholism.
Yeah,
unfortunately. Sherry says depends on how drunk he was. Yeah, and why do musicians, when they get to those levels of national acts, seem to all go through that period of debauchery and drunkenness and drugs, and then they see at the end of their life they can tour without them, and then they go on this new leaf of backstage. They're drinking vegetable drinks made in the blender and all those things. I mean, it's funny how that goes. Look at Aerosmith. I mean, they were a train wreck literally for years and years, and now they don't party backstage. But Steven Tyler's paying for it, obviously, with a lot of health issues and things. So Chris Reese has got one more comment here, and then we're gonna talk about a couple meltdowns and get out of here. Let's see, it was a band where the other singer got in a fight with the bar owner during the gig. Jesus. Needless to say, her antics resulted in the venue not booking us again. Well, of course not. You fight the bar owner, you're guaranteed a ticket to nowhere. And that gets around too. And Edward says that show was a total disaster. Yes. What else we got? Kenny, young and dumb, you live and learn. Yeah. Drink after the gig, Jason says. Well, yeah, it's not going to happen. And I don't mind anybody having some drinks on stage. Sometimes it loosens them up a little bit as long as it doesn't go over the edge.
That's right, Tom.
What's Tom got to say?
Gets it.
Anybody that gets on stage and performs, I don't care what you do. I don't care if you're doing singo. If your audience is not happy, you're not doing your job. I mean, and you're failing. I mean, you're literally failing. No matter if you're going up and doing spoken word and the audience is just asleep looking at their phones, they need to have interaction with somebody, and you need to support the bar that way and find a way to fix it.
There's that whole thing is like, they're like, well, I don't play music for you or play for me. And I get that. But if you're going to be asking to get paid, then you're kind of playing for me too. Right? So you kind of have to do both. You kind of have to, the second you start, charging for something, it's got to appeal to those people.
And Tom, I love your big phrase there, symbiotic relationship. Absolutely. And thank you, Tom Braun, for that one. Karis, let me talk real quick about some of the biggest meltdowns on stage listed by the website Ranker. Okay, so they rank things. Okay. Number 1 meltdown, Axl Rose at a St. Louis concert in 1991. Axl Rose took his aggression out on a fan, stopped the song Rocket Queen to address the fan, taking pictures in the front row, and then stage dove in the audience to fight the guy. So,
wow.
How about a security nightmare right there? When security broke up the fight between Rose and the fan, Axl left the building saying, thanks. What did he say? Thanks to the lame ass security, I'm going home. Never turn on your security either. No. That's a bad move. That's the number 1. Let me flip to a couple others.
Kareem,
Obviously,
I think Kareem's comment is funny because I think I know who that band was, if I'm not mistaken. And they left a really nasty Google review, and a bunch of people kind of responded to them, and they deleted that review because they're embarrassed, so they tried to blame us. And it was, I think
tried to blame you for them sucking.
Try to blame us for not. I think we cut them off after like 2 songs or something, or 1 song or 2 songs, and then they called us because they were younger. I think if this is the one he's talking about, if not, there's another one, and blamed us, calling us boomers or something like that, and that we weren't welcoming. And we were like, you literally cleared out the entire bar. I mean, it is I
got told in a bar one time that, Grandpa, you're out past your bedtime, go home.
Oh.
Yeah, wasn't that nice and that was the owner.
Super weird. I got told because I have a nose ring that I'm too old for a nose ring.
Yeah.
What about you? You're old. You shouldn't be having a nose ring. I was like, oh, well, okay.
See, I'd have gone home and put one of those fake big giant bull pullers in and come in the next night.
That's what I'm talking about, Kareem. That was it. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, wow. Interesting.
That was a night, wasn't it?
Jim Morrison melted down once in 1969 when a fan poured champagne on him and he yelled, "Let's get naked," and took all his clothes off on stage and got arrested in Miami. That's a little bit
of meltdown, or is that just?
I think it's just putting on a show.
Yeah.
Green Day, Billy Joe Armstrong's known for his meltdowns. Courtney Love, of course, known for her meltdowns on stage.
Well, that's drugs.
Kurt Cobain, the same way, obviously no longer with us. Fiona Apple once received an award at the MTV Video Music Awards and then proceeded to go into this huge tirade where they took her off and went to commercial as she was accepting her award and went into this big political rant saying the world is bullshit and all this stuff. Interesting. And just a few more here. We know our friends, Lady Gaga, who I really like, has melted down on stage before and done some crazy things. But my favorite one for meltdowns that I've seen personally is Wes from Puddle of Mud. And he had a terrible alcohol and drug problem. And
that's sad. That's just
you
sad.
know, and he was one of the ones who sat alone on stage for a while and didn't talk to his band. And they just stood there for over 3 minutes at the concert, never acknowledged the band was on stage. The band was looking at each other. It was awkward.
That's just sad. And the band, a venue made a whole statement about him and kind of calling him out on it. And I was like torn because I was like, this guy's ill. I get what you're doing, but like, I just felt bad for him.
Yeah, Kareem said that speech derailed her career. And that's a whole nother show, too. People get careers derailed by running their mouth. We've talked about that, getting political on stage and all that. But certainly, if you put on a show and you come out and you can't perform to the best of your abilities, you shouldn't be up there. And the people pay money to see you play, or they come into a venue to see you play. They expect to see you play and not drunk and disorderly on stage. Let's see what Mike has to say. He's a good one to see a lot of bands. His number one is Axl walking off the show and having a meltdown after Metallica's James Hetfield caught on fire in a pyro accident. Had to go to the hospital. Guns N' Roses played 3 songs and left. Fans destroyed the complete stage and sound and lighting systems.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. That's crazy. People have come up and taken, they did have a fan come up and take Wes's place at Puddle Mud Show one night when he couldn't perform. And that's sad. And it is sad that it gets to the point. I know one time that he didn't make his flight. He was so messed up that he didn't make his flight, and the band showed up and everybody showed up for the show and he never made it. That's bad. Yeah. And there's many more stories like that out there.
That's just sad though.
Divas and people, but you know, I don't discount alcoholism not being a disease or any of that. I mean, I think, unfortunately it's a self-inflicted disease and with time, you can't control it just like any other drug.
Yeah.
And that's a tough thing for people. But if you're playing on a local level, your band is professional and one of your members is not doing that, and it's time to make a change. I mean, it is, or you're going to self-destruct. And Ray said Andy from Black Veil Brides jumped off stage at the same time, purposefully put his foot in a heckler's face. Yeah, that'll get you sued for some money. It will. What else you got? Anything else, Karis? We got to get out of here. We're about done.
No, I got nothing.
Got nothing? You got nothing? Yeah. Well, I got nothing else either. I'm just looking at the last few comments. Yeah, there has been bands with fist fights. Have you ever seen the video that's out there that goes all the time on the internet of the drummer smashing the cymbal over the bass player and then rolling around and crushing all the equipment and fighting on stage while the rest of the band members look at him? It's kind of funny, but hi, Lee Reed. Thanks for being here. He's probably got a few stories too, he could say, although he probably wouldn't. Hair looks awesome, Karis, by the way.
Oh, thanks. I just got out of the shower.
Can we really see it? Let's look at it. Here we go. There it is. That's shower hair, ladies and gentlemen.
Just shower yeah.
It is shower hair. No this or that today. I don't think we've run out of time. Thank you for that, Jim McCarthy, though, for throwing that one in there. We appreciate that you like that. Guys, thanks for watching today. Gina says that video is hilarious. It is. I mean, it's mayhem on stage. And, you know, I once watched, and people thought he was drunk, but he wasn't drunk. Winona Judd's husband, who has prosthetic legs, he stood up and lost his balance on the drum kit playing the drums, and he fell forward into the drum kit, and all the roadies ran out and picked him up, sat him back down and all that. But he was not, I mean, he especially is a recovering alcoholic. He doesn't drink at all. And everybody was like, oh, he was drugged out. But did you see everybody saying Winona was drugged out when she sang with Jelly Roll? Did you see that video? I don't know if you saw that or missed it, but because she was hanging on to him and all that stuff. People make a lot out of it. What's that?
I did hear about what was wrong with her. I didn't see the video.
Well, when I saw her play in Dayton, she almost passed out on stage. People had to come out and hold her up. I think she's having health problems she's not telling anybody about, myself, and that's just speculative. But
I thought she passed away.
No, not Winona. Naomi. Her mom, yes. And Brandon Harvey says CC DeVille and Brett Michaels fought backstage after switched song choice at the MTV. Yeah, I've seen video of that. Somebody caught that on like cell phone video back there or something. That's crazy too. But CC switched up the song and Brett was pissed. So that's our show today, Musician Meltdowns. If you've got a comment or you're watching after we're live, please drop a comment in there. We'd love to hear from you. Karis, tomorrow, live right here at noon, we've got Wednesday with the band, and that's going to be the Gamut joining us tomorrow.
Oh, nice.
Wednesday with the band.
I got to get back to him.
So I'll have Mark and company on. It'll be a lot of fun, and we're going to have a good time with that one tomorrow. And then Thursday's Who's Playing Out, brought to you by Froggies in Monroe, Ohio. And Kareem says, see us next time. And Tom says, come to Under the Sun, Bell and the Bear Show Saturday for live music and band member boxing.
Boxing? Yeah.
I love it.
During our breaks.
Thank you, Gina McCann. Next time I'm there, I want you to take those big boots you wear on stage, kick me square in the face for heckling you and calling your voice butter, smooth like butter. Thank you.
That's a good heckle.
It is. She likes my heckles sometimes. And then I heckle Tim as well. Tim heckles me most of the time.
Tim heckles everybody.
Gina and Johnny tomorrow for you guys. That's what's happening at your place.
Special guest Doug Hart.
Oh, that'll be great.
Mm-hmm.
I have my final championship night of Name That Tune tomorrow night, our final one of the season. And then coming December 13th, I'll be at your place. I think that's the date. It's the second Wednesday of the month. We're doing Name That Tune at the Bell and the Bear. And I'm looking so forward to your crowd down there. We have so much fun with them.
It's going to be good.
We are. Thanks, Melody, for being here. We appreciate your support always. And everybody else who watches, please hit the share button if you will. And until then, guys, we're going to get out of here. I'm going to play some more music that's not copywritten, but they'll say it is. Bye-bye, everybody.
Bye-bye, everybody.
Goodbye, everybody. I don't even like that song. I like this one better. Johnny Fink told me I could play this one. He did. Bye, Karis.
You know what? I think you can
When I see you, babe, don't wear that dress too tight. When you walk by, try not to look so right.
Let's go off the air. You want to? You out to?
'Cause when you come home, child, I don't want